There are thousands of great BVH motion capture files available on the internet, and they don't always work very well in Carrera. So I'm going to go through the process I use to get motion capture files, including captures that you've done yourself, and even the DAS-friendly version of the CMU files, which don't work that well in Carrera for me, at least. I'm going to show you how to get them into Carrera using this program called DanceForms. So this will let us retarget any BVH skeleton to our DAS characters or even characters we've created ourselves. The browser actually is kind of handy for previewing animations. It's real time and you can click through them quickly and find the ones that you're looking for. Let's go ahead and load one up. To do that, what we need to do is we need to put a character onto the stage. So I will go ahead and click V4, pull in the V4 skeleton, and I'll show you later how that's saved. Now I'm going to paste the animation onto that skeleton. So in the joint map editor, what we are doing is matching up the Victoria 4 bones on the right hand side to the BVH skeleton bones on the left. So if we click on the right and then click on the left, those are now matched, and they both show up bold when we are on that line. The program does a pretty good job of guessing the names, but there's always a few that we have to go and manually select. What it does do is it mirrors the bone. So if we're selecting, for instance, the shin, left shin is not matched, so we'll go ahead and match it. But after doing that, you'll notice that the right shin automatically becomes matched as well. At this point, we can do a test and scrub back and forth and see what the Victoria skeleton looks like with that animation mapped, pasted onto it, and it looks pretty good. So we'll go ahead and click OK, and there is our Victoria 4 skeleton, and she's doing her thing. So I'm going to go ahead and paste another animation after that one, and once again the joint map editor comes up and it remembers everything, so we don't have to remap, and we can in fact save the map, which I'll show you how to do a little later on. Now you'll notice this is the join between the two animations right there. One thing to be aware of is even though there's a gap in the keyframes, that gap will become keyframed when we export out to a BVH file. The two animations we just imported were from Mixamo, so now I'm going to go to the TrueBones free motion builder BVH, and I'm going to go ahead and import that. This was mapped earlier, so we don't have to go through the remapping again. So let me just click OK. Actually, let's see what it looks like first. And it looks pretty good, so we'll click OK and wait for it to import. There it is. Now we can go back, and once again, there's the join. A little bit of a difference between the two. The program does try and match up the location so that the join is clean, but I'm not really focusing on these joins right now, just really the remapping, the retargeting. So I'm going to go ahead and export this. It's named from a trial run that I did, so let's go ahead and save that out. And it's exporting the frames. And now I'm going to switch to Carrera, and V4 is there ready waiting for us. And I'm going to import the file we just saved. There it is. Import, and one of the things we want to do is check the radio button for apply to selected skeleton and uncheck matched by name. So now let's let that import. And there it is. So this is very laggy with my screen capture running. so just bear with it. But everything looks pretty close to what the original BVH animation looked like. Here's our join, and you can see the keyframes between the joins are all filled in. So I went ahead and rendered out the animation so we could see what it looks like, and you'll notice that the translation is really good. There's not a lot of foot sliding when she starts walking. And I haven't spent any time cleaning this up. This is just really all raw retargeted BVH animations. Yeah, this conversion method really keeps the foot sliding to a minimum. So now let's go ahead and I'm going to show you how to import or create a model in the program. So this is just a BVH skeleton that I've exported out of Carrera, and it comes onto our stage, and that's the Genesis 2 skeleton. So I'm going to go ahead and save this now. Save model, and it's in the model folder, and let's call this Genesis 2. So next time we can just load the model right out of the pull down. So let me go ahead and remove this, and then reload it from the new figure pull down. And there's our Genesis 2 model ready to get animations pasted on. Let's go ahead and I'm going to actually open up something, an animation from Trailers Park, because this is slightly unusual in that the T-pose is not the same as our Genesis T-pose. And I'm going to go check the frame rate because I do everything at 24. Yeah, so we're good. So when I go to paste the animation over the Genesis skeleton, I can have it time the keyframes so that it's still at 24 frames per second. So I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit of remapping here. And the arms are completely off when we compare the two. And that's because of the difference between the T-poses. So what I can do is I can go ahead and set the T-pose of Genesis to match the T-pose of the BVH animation that I'm bringing in. Not that one. And that looks a little better. You'll notice when you do the one side, both sides match. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at that now. That's better. Yeah, they look very close. Okay, so I'm happy with that, so I'm going to go ahead and import this. But first I'm going to go ahead and save this. And I'm going to save this to the joint map directory. Call that Genesis 2. I actually should have called that Trailers Park Genesis 2, because it's a correspondence between that particular skeleton and Genesis. Okay, so the animation is now in, and let's go ahead and run it, see what it looks like. and you'll notice that the foot contact with the ground is very, very good. Okay, so let's go ahead and export this out as a BVH file. And I'm going to call this Genesis test. And I'll switch back to Carrera, and I have Genesis waiting for us right here. Okay, so let's go ahead and import the file we just exported. Once again, uncheck match by names. And let's see what it looks like. Well, even though it's jerky, we can still see that the shape of the character and the foot placement, no sliding, so everything looks very good. Now there's another tool that is very handy, and let me show you. You might have noticed Convert. And what Convert lets you do is select a source directory, and I'm going to go ahead and go to the Mixamo directory that has a number of animations in it, and Recursive will actually go down into nested directories. Let me go ahead and select my V4 map, and now I'm going to select a source directory, destination directory, and I'm going to go ahead and create one, and we'll call this converted test. Mad typing skills there. So let's go ahead and start that. Check everything is correctly set, and now I'm going to go ahead and start importing. Now I'm using a Mac here, but this program, DanceForms, is actually available on PC as well. It's free, and it's I use it. It's indispensable to me. Okay, so everything has been converted. Let me go ahead and open up the directory, and there are all of the files we converted. So now I'm going to go ahead and go to load Victoria 4, and we'll take a look at a couple of those files just to see what they look like. Let's see which one. Actually, I'm going to use one of the ones we've seen so we can compare it to the earlier conversion that we did. And there it is. Looks exactly the same. Yeah, so this way you can convert hundreds of files. Just let it run overnight, and you're done. Go ahead and pull in another one. Now, one last thing I want to show you is how to clean up the animations once they've come in, and you'll notice that there is a little bit of arm burying going on. You'll notice her arm is going into her thigh. Obviously not something that'll happen in real life. So to clean this up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an NLA clip. And this is important. I'm going to set it to additive, and that'll keep our underlying animation in place, but whatever change we make to the bone will be reflected across the entire animation. Now we can see that her arm is not passing through her leg anymore, except on the other side. So let's go ahead and clean that up as well. If you convert your main animation to an NLA track, the additive track will have to go beneath it. And the hand placement's a little off as well, so I'll go ahead and do some cleanup on that as well. And this is handy for anything that requires precise contact. For instance, if your character is picking up something or touching something, and of course the BVH animation is not going to be precise enough to put the hand exactly where it needs to be, so you can go ahead and do these little tweaks and get everything just exactly where you want it to be. Okay, so that's not perfect, but a little bit better. Okay, so let me go ahead and drag through this, see how it looks. And that is almost believable. Well, that is it for this tutorial. So happy animating, everyone.